I generally was waking up every day, and I'm not joking, when I was like, oh my God, I've already made X amount of sales. I've never ever done that before. You like wake up out of bed with a spring in a step, because you're like, right, I'm going to attack this day. Because if I now do all those little margins that I used to be doing, like, it's crazy. And all these things have like binded together, and now we're just adding more strings to the bow. And I just honestly couldn't believe it when, yeah, obviously, like you said, we hit our first 100K month was wild. Like, honestly, crazy figures.
And yeah, I think we had our first call in February. We started working together in March, and now it's July, right? And so from 25, 30K to breaking your first 100K month, pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
You know what? I literally said to Alex that month as well. I was like, look, I'm quite apprehensive about this, because summertime, hot weather, I found in the past that it's never really a good month. And I was honestly, I said to him, I said, look, I'm quite scared about this. And he reassured me. And like, we hit our biggest ever month in the business. And it's not even seasonal time. It's, you know, school holidays, hot weather. Now I'm thinking, crikey, from September onwards, like, what is actually going to happen? Like, it's the unknown to me, because I've never been there before, right? So I'm sort of, yeah, it's scarily good. And now I'm relishing in that and absolutely buzzing with, you know, the direction the business is going at a scarily pace that is just amazing. And I just would say, take the risk, have a conversation, see what yourself can do for their business, and just look. It's like anything, right? When you're not passionate or like, you know, happy about something, you know, you drips and jabs and you don't speak with any purpose, right? But I am so like overwhelmed, and I was coming to you at the initial bits, like in a bit of a way of like, look, I need this to work now. Like, I'm not messing about anymore. This is my likely livelihood. This is my career. It's I employ my friends, my family. Like, I want them to win with me. And it's like, when that deep sinks in, I think you've got that as well. And like, I'm very, you know, grateful for obviously the work you've done, and I'm generally buzzing, you know, and I want this to be, you know, get bigger and bigger and bigger. So yeah, no, I appreciate your work as always.
So Sean, do you want to start things off by kind of briefly introducing yourself, who you are, and even your role in Love Island?
Absolutely. So obviously I'm the director of Sweet Delivery, and we basically deliver fresh pick and mix nationwide, up and down the country, straight to your doorstep. So basically an online pick and mix shop, really. And obviously the summer of 2024, I was on the reality TV show Love Island, ended up third place. So it was quite an achievement, and it was a mad journey to say the least. Had its highs, had its lows, and obviously for the business after that, I was known as also the candy man in there. So I was basically doing cringy sweet lines to my family's embarrassment. But hey ho, it all worked in favor, obviously, in promoting the business. And you know, after that, I really wanted to take my business seriously, because I found myself sort of almost taking it for granted in a way, because I didn't really have, you know, much structure or sort of goals in mind before I obviously last year, because I was sort of, my year was so disjointed, and I thought, you know what, when I come out the show, I really want to make a good crack of this, and, you know, unlock new heights that I didn't think was possible, and sort of go from there, really.
Cool. Okay, so let's start from the birth, like post Love Island. You got your business. You obviously have the organic traffic. Do you kind of want to go into a little bit about like where you were at before you started working with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, especially, the organic sales were like quite impressive for the size we were. I mean, we was only a small team, and we were doing impressive numbers just by organic. We've never even looked at paid ads or anything like that before. But I always knew, for me to get the company to the next level, I needed to look at this avenue. So we just basically relied on, you know, viral TikToks, viral reels, live streams, really pushing that. So obviously from the show as well, that helped massively. I think before the show, I think we had about 12,000 email subscribers, and I think it shot up to like 47,000, which was huge. So obviously helped us massively. And then obviously now I sort of had a strong core of people and customers that were quite loyal, to be fair. I thought, you know what, now we've got to try and look at agencies, which we did. And it sort of led us down a rabbit hole, or a black hole, I should say, because we sort of gave an opportunity to an agency that we thought would take care of our business and understood our business and our goals and our products. And it's quite difficult because I'm very apprehensive as it is to sort of almost give that responsibility. You know, you're talking, you know, managing money, managing finances with, you know, paying for, you know, traffic to be drove to your site. And I'm sort of not a tech wizard, so I don't really know what they're doing behind the scenes, right? And sort of I was learning through their sort of complacency with their work and sort of their promises that they sort of laid out at the initial start didn't really come true. And I sort of was having to work harder myself to sort of almost justify their poor results. And I was just, end of the month, I was almost broken because I was like, I've got it to this point now. Why? I don't want to start going backwards because there's nothing sort of gaining momentum. It's quite stale, stagnant. You know, I think it was, you know, the highest ever point was 2.5x, you know, return on ad spend with, you know, all the other core stuff. I think initially as well, we had some ridiculous 10% commission on the profit of the ad spend, which I didn't really take too much of it because I didn't know what the sort of deal was with ads as it was. So obviously when that sort of, you know, they thought they'd made profit, obviously to me with a high, you know, retainer, 10%, the ad spend, and plus the money I needed to purchase the goods for, I was like, this is going down dramatically. And I sort of had to act on it. And thankfully, I took a step back out of it. Yourself contacted me, and I thought, you know what? It just looked overall from my perspective, looked like a complete, you know, business to sort of take my business to the next level. And obviously we had our initial conversations, and to be fair, I'm very thankful in a way of that agency being so bad, because I learned a lot myself and what I was looking for in the next time round. And I think we aligned very, very well. I feel like you understood my vision and where I wanted to go. And even just small little tweaks such as, you know, I think we briefly mentioned like the subscription side of things. And, you know, I took that and just implemented it straight away from our call. Bearing in mind, we weren't even working together.
Right. Yeah.
That just saw, you know, loads of subscribers, and that was another stream, and, you know, really built, you know, a community around that now. So yeah, it was definitely an eye opener, and I'm thankful for that. But I'm obviously very, very thankful for obviously joining yourself, and what we've done so far is just crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. So you actually answered one of my other questions, so I'll just jump to the next one. What's it been like working with us? I know on the initial discovery call that we had, I was like, dude, just like you got like whether you work with us or not, get a subscription service going. Oh my God. And then you took action literally the next day. And then I think we had a follow-up call like a week after our first call, and you're like, yeah, Jordan, I did it. I implemented the subscription. And I thought to myself, okay, this is going to be a guy we can crush it for. Like, this is going to be a guy where if we need something that necessarily, you know, we may not be doing per our agreement, like you're going to take the steps necessary for the overall growth and success of the business.
And I honestly, I think that is very, very important, being the business owner or whoever's managing this side of the business for, you know, other businesses out there, because I feel like if you don't take action, if you're not proactive in getting creatives together, you know, with ideas, new products, you know, changing, you know, your website, tweaking little bits or coming up with different ideas, I think you have to be very, very proactive with that on your behalf to make your work, you know, boom as well. So that's one thing that, you know, I've learned as well. Like as much as I put in, you guys are going to put in more, and help get my message across to, you know, people purchasing, people viewing, taking a look at your stuff. So I think that is super, super important if you want to, you know, go to the next level for sure.
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, you're definitely the personality behind the brand, and it's up to us to like not only show you, but just the value of why somebody would want to, you know, go a sweet delivery, right?
Yeah.
And so, just like on a granular level, what's it been like working with Alex. What's it been like working with the team? I know we're starting Google here pretty soon. You want to just kind of dive into
yeah,
just
absolutely.
the guys?
Yeah, no, honestly, Alex has been amazing as well. Like, I think it's very important because obviously we've only had like Zoom meetings, right? And it's very hard because you want to say so much about your business, about your products, about the promotional offers. And it can be quite overwhelming, especially for Alex listening to me. I'm reeling off this and that. And the one thing Alex has been amazing at, he's very quick at learning what your business is, what your product is, what stands out, what avenue we should go down, suggestions with creatives to help tweak them to, you know, those small margins add up, right? And I think he's been very good at listening to what I've got to say, ideas, just the feeling of someone's on your team, but, you know, not around you, and totally gets the mission you're on and wants to help you get there, I think has been really, really key. And look, he's straight up honest as well. If he says, look, your creative sucks, Sean, like you need to make this, you know, a bit different or go somewhere else outside. Like we've just made little tweaks. I was constantly shooting stuff in the HQ and he's like, look, go outside, change the scenery. And, you know, those little tweaks have helped massively. So the honest communication has just been, you know, second to none. And the overall like setup and explanation, because like I said, it's quite hard seeing all this data, seeing all these figures, and you know, it can be quite overwhelming sometimes, but he's very calm, very cool, calm, collected, takes you through each stage, you know, what's working, what's not working, you know, things to maybe consider down the line, you know, pre-planning big seasonal stuff, you know, we're in talks of doing that already. So yeah, the overall, you know, being prepared has been a massive helping hand for sure. And yeah, no, he's just totally got it. And what, you know, the company's all about, which is helped proceed, you know, our sort of setup almost, because I feel like as well, when you're setting up, you have to test stuff as well. This is another thing that I've learned. Like you have to be willing to, like, you know, lose a little bit, as in like not theoretically losing out, like just testing, you know, certain creators that may not work, but might guide you to your next offer, your next sort of reason to create something a bit different. So
Sure.
I think with that, he's very like straight up honest. And, you know, I think that's the most important thing, really, because, you know, you want to be aware of it and then it not get too late. And then it's like, oh, why didn't you tell me this? Like he's very straight up, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, 100%. And just to flex a little bit, do you kind of want to go into like where you were at monthly revenue wise
Yeah.
versus up breaking your first 100K month?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy to say that. I
Yeah.
mean, I think we were sitting around, I think our highest ever month organically was about 30K, but was floating around the 20, 25, never really breaking that. And that was quite very stressful on my behalf to maintain that, because I was doing live streams every day, which I love doing, by the way, but it was very tiring, and very sort of, you know, stab in the dark almost. Like I didn't know what I was going to get out the live, or, you know, if my TikToks went viral, you know, that could be a hit and miss month. So it was very like, you know, up and down, right? So obviously, since Alex has taken control and scaled profitably and, you know, maintaining a healthy margin, I generally was waking up every day, and I'm not joking, when I was like, oh my God, I've already made X amount of sales. I've never ever done that before. You like wake up out of bed with a springing step because you're like, right, I'm going to attack this day. Because if I now do all those little margins that I used to be doing, like it's crazy. And all these things have like binded together, and now we're just adding more strings to the bow. And I just honestly couldn't believe it when, yeah, obviously, like you said, we hit our first 100K month was wild. Like honestly, crazy figures.
Yeah, man. And we're just getting started too. We're just getting started. We have
I know
not been
that's
more.
the worrying thing. And like for me, I'm quite happy podding along, and that's what I was doing. And then to be almost, this is probably another thing that you have to be, get out your comfort zone, because you're going to be tested more ways than one. Where I thought, oh yeah, that would be amazing earning that much and selling that many suites. It comes with a whole load of new problems, but I like, it's a good problem to have, right? So it's like more operational side of things, staff, employment. Like, you open all these can of worms now, but it's makes it so much more enjoyable instead of the unknown almost. I know in the safe hands of Alex that I can trust him to, churn out consecutively, what we're doing at the moment each day, and, have the safety of, knowing that this is going to work. I can take that risk. It makes it all that bit easier. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. Okay. And yeah, I think we had our first call in February. We started working together in March, and now it's July, right? And so from 25, 30K to breaking your first 100K month, pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
You know what? I literally said to Alex that month as well. I was like, look, I'm quite apprehensive about this because summertime, hot weather, I found in the past that it's never really a good month. And I said to him, I said, look, I'm quite scared about this. And he reassured me, and like, we hit our biggest ever month in the business, and it's not even seasonal time. It's, school holidays, hot weather. Now I'm thinking, crikey, from September onwards, like, what is actually going to happen? Like, it's the unknown to me because I've never been there before, right? So I'm sort of, it's scarily good.
Yeah, you thought summer was good. Just wait till you hit Q4, man. It's going to be
honestly
a lot.
I think I might have gray hair at that point. Who knows?
They're good problems to have. They're good problems to have. And we'll have the inventory conversation after this. But last question I got for you, man. To those, watching at home, you're on your phone, tablet, computer, whatever.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who's considering working with us? What would you want to let them know?
I would honestly say, have an initial conversation, tell them where you're at with the business, what your sort of fears are. And I honestly think yourself, Alex, or whoever would honestly give you such free, great advice to take, your business to the next step as it is. And I am so certain with your advice and changes that, it would open their eyes up to a world of opportunity that you guys can provide for their business. And I think, without trying, and you're an honest, straight up guy as well, right? So you're like, if it doesn't work, you wash your hands with it, and, you'd let them know anyway. So in my eyes, you literally have nothing to lose and you have so much to gain. So I just feel like I've left so much money on the table, clearly, as we've discussed. And now I'm relishing in that and absolutely buzzing with, the direction the business is going at a scarily pace that is just amazing. And I just would say, take the risk, have a conversation, see what yourself can do for their business, and just look. It's like anything, right? When you're not passionate or like, happy about something, you drips and jabs and you don't speak with any purpose, right? But I am so like overwhelmed, and I was coming to you at the initial bits like in a bit of a way of like, look, I need this to work now. Like, I'm not messing about anymore. This is my livelihood. This is my career. I employ my friends, my family. Like, I want them to win with me. And it's like, when that deep sinks in, I think you've got that as well. And like, I'm very, grateful for obviously the work you've done, and I'm generally buzzing, and I want this to be, get bigger and bigger and bigger. So yeah, no, I appreciate your work as always.